What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 248 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host of the panel, Tony Mango, and joining me on the mic for this episode is Kalen Ferris.
What's good in the hood?
Mike Payton.
Bwong!
And Dane Quinn.
What's going on?
So, our main event for this week, we got that 3-point setup. If you guys haven't figured this out already, we're going to be doing bunch of stuff all throughout this whole show. We're actually not
Stick around for all that stuff.
Yeah, that's stuff. We usually have some kind of like a solitary topic. Well, there's just a lot of stuff to cover this week, so we're splitting two of the hot tags actually into their own main event. We're going to call that WWE Title Talk. We're going to talk about the SmackDown championships that have just debuted, as well as the situation with the Universal Championship. Lots of stuff going down with those. The middle of the part, this section is going to be the rest hold. That's the break that's going to include the wrestling trivia question of the week as well. But the first thing that we need to take care of is to run down the hot tags. If you don't know what the hot tags are, it's basically a recap of some of those other things that we're not going to put in its own separate section there. Different stuff that's gone down in the world of pro wrestling and sports entertainment over the past few days. And we're going to start off with a big one here. Rumors of a backstage altercation between Chris Jericho and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We already did our SummerSlam review. Go ahead and check that out if you guys are interested in our post show for that. But apparently Jericho did not understand that that was planned. A lot of people didn't either, ourselves included. And he thought this is bullshit. He went up to talk about how like unsafe that it was and all that, and conflicting stories here and there, but the overarching theme that I've been hearing from different websites and different people that are talking about it is that Jericho went up to Lesnar, said, like, what the fuck, dude? Lesnar said, essentially called him a fag and a pussy and all those typical kind of things that you would see like a jock just kind of be like, oh, what, you want to fucking fight? And a lot of people are giving a lot of credit to Jericho for standing up to a guy like Brock Lesnar, so... first things first, Kalen, what do you think's going on here? You think that that's a real fight? Do you think Jericho makes sense to have that kind of a discussion?
Well, first of all, I think Jericho probably should have talked to everybody else who was there in Gorilla or wherever they were. Talk to Vince and find out, is this actually a shoot? You know, find out what's going on before you start approaching people. But good on Jericho for actually standing up for what he believes in. And, you know, if it were actually legit, then giving him hell like he deserves. You know, Jericho is always one to speak his mind, and I give him much respect for that. So good for him. You know, of course, I'm sure neither party handled it the best way possible, but good for him.
Peyton, what's your thoughts on the issue?
I don't really know whether to give something like this credence. I mean, how many times do you hear about these things happening? It's like, don't you think there would be some serious repercussions for something like this going down?
Depends on how bad it gets. I mean, if we are talking like Sin Cara, Simon Gotch, looks like Gotch is getting punished. And, well, Sin Cara's not doing shit.
Do you really think he'd be in any different spot right now if that didn't happen?
Maybe he wouldn't be the one taking
no,
all the
he
pinfalls.
Wouldn't. I feel like Jericho, especially, for going after one of their precious part-timers, you think he would get a lot of flack for that. He seems to be doing fine. Continuing his little thing he's doing with Kevin Owens, that's awesome.
You got a horse in the race between... Now, Jericho beat Goldberg backstage. You think Jericho can take Lesnar?
Well, through the transitive properties of ones, who won their match between Goldberg and Lesnar?
Austin.
Well, Jericho is Austin, so therefore, yes, Jericho could be Lesnar.
So we're going back to Austin Y2J, bringing that joke back. Dane, what do you think's happening with Jericho and Lesnar? Do you think that they really got into a fight, or is it all just bullshit?
I'd imagine so. With Orton getting, I mean, that elbow was pretty bad. So I don't blame Jericho at all. I give him a lot of credit. What threw me off was I got an update or an alert from Bleacher Report that Brock Lesnar was fined. But then watching SmackDown, they said, Shane McMahon said that he only got fined like $500. Was it a legit fine or is it like a storyline?
It's totally story. That's
Wow.
supposed to be Stephanie's repercussions for the whole thing. And Shane McMahon also said, like, $500, that's it. Well, this isn't over. So they're kind of teasing a little Shane Brock thing, which I don't know if I really want to see that. Especially not
Yeah,
at
I wouldn't-
WrestleMania. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Survivor Series, I can deal with it, but not WrestleMania. But I give Jericho credit when it comes down to it. Anybody who steps up to Brock Lesnar in any situation has a lot of balls.
It'd be great if Jericho stood up to Brock Lesnar backstage, but the reports are all off, and he was just like, "Yo, Brock, what the fuck?" and then ran away. Just kind of like, yeah,
I can
stood up
imagine
to
he
him.
was wearing his scarf with his like fingers kind of like pointed in his face, you know.
Hey, Brock,
Jericho
don't
just
do
wrote
that.
him
Really smug about it.
He just wrote him a really passive aggressive note.
It's like, you better watch it. And then it is underlined.
Yeah. What's
Brock,
it?
you got to take it easy, man.
Drink it in, man. He hasn't done that in a while. Kind of miss that one.
This run by Jericho has been excellent, though.
So good.
He has me in
yeah.
tears.
Yeah, so hopefully, if there are any repercussions, it's on Lesnar for supposedly, if that's true, of course, it might not be true, but that he kind of acted like a Mr. Macho tough man, and that seems like a lot of the boys, if all this stuff is not just bullshit, that they're all saying like, "Yo, good job, Jericho, for standing up for him and stuff." So Jericho might end up getting maybe a little bit of a push out of it as like a thank you for standing up for your fellow brethren or something. But who knows? Could all be fake. If any more stories about this come out, then we're probably going to learn some more information. But something else that I'm really curious about, whether or not it's legit, and I've heard everything all over the place here. The Dudley Boyz retiring. I've heard everything from it's completely true, they're gone, they're now free agents, and they never signed a contract, to they signed a contract to work with WWE for several years, to they're going to show up as that 8th team on SmackDown, which we'll talk a little bit about the tag tournament a little bit later. But if it's true, if it's not, what are you guys thinking about the Dudley Boyz? Peyton, I'm going to start off with you on this one. Did they retire for real or not?
I wouldn't say they're retired, as in they're never going to wrestle again. I think this is the end of their run. For this run, doesn't mean they won't be back. Maybe 6 months down the road they decide they're going to come back, but I think they push themselves really hard. They ain't no spring chickens anymore. I think they just want to take a little bit of time off, recoup, and then maybe if they're still feeling up for it, pop back in another time. I think this is all legit. I don't think there's any type of swerve going on here.
Like, they're not going to pop up in 2 weeks and just kind of be like, oh, got you guys, like that kind of thing.
No, we didn't see any salmon jackets. So I don't think
the only way I can see that happening is one of them comes back, but not both of them. It could be either one.
Reverend Devon.
Ugh. God,
Shit, maybe one pops up on each brand. There you go.
That might be a way to do it. Kaylin, you thinking that they're gone?
Kind of echoing what Mike said there. I think this is the end of their run. I don't think they're retired from the ring completely forever. And I did hear that they signed contracts. I don't know how much credence to put behind that or what kind of contracts they were. So maybe it was some kind of Legends contract. Maybe they're going to be, doing part-time appearances, maybe something along the lines of what Edge and Christian have, where they still work with the company, but aren't in there week in, week out doing the same old shit. So I'm not really sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here, but I wouldn't expect to see them in the ring anytime soon, at least not on a regular basis. Maybe something like The Rock. Maybe they'll pop up once a year, every other year, something like that, and wrestle 1 or 2 matches.
So we got 2 votes for they're gone for real, but not for good. I'm on the fence of I think that they're not even leaving. Dane, where do you stand on this?
I feel like if they were to jump to SmackDown, I mean, nobody would even have noticed anyway. I kind of feel like they're done, but with them, occasionally putting somebody through a table, they're not going to win the tag team titles. However, I did see that Velvet Sky posted Bubba Ray's calf muscles, which indicate maybe Bully Ray would return. But if they're under contract with WWE, they can't really jump to TNA. I mean, they can do their whole Team 3D Academy and then just show up every now and then and put somebody through a table.
That would be the worst thing ever, is if they went back to TNA. And I can't imagine them doing that. They're at a point now where I assume if they're done, and they're going to stick around as ambassadors for WWE, but maybe their academy is the only thing that they want to focus on now. Maybe they stick around. There's no way they go back to TNA. That would be just ludicrous.
Well, I mean,
now, Tony, is part of your... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, the writers haven't really used them. They came back and it was like a nice pop, but they've just kind of been buried. Like, well, not really buried, but just like on the card, just kind of there.
I was going to ask Tony, is part of your doubt thinking that they might have some kind of program with Gallows and Anderson because of how that one segment ended on Monday?
Yeah, because you know what? If they would have just done the Shining Stars bit, I would have thought, well, that's just a way for them to kind of go out, giving fans another table spot, and then it's just kind of like, thank you, everybody. We fucked up some jobbers that nobody cares about. But they were on the losing end of this. And how often does somebody leave when they're on the losing end? In
most
any
of the time.
Yeah,
well,
I would
You're
say
supposed to
most
lose
go
on your
their
way
head.
out.
No, I
Yeah.
was going to say, in the capacity that they did, it's different when you lose like a retirement match. They were doing their speech and they got jumped.
No, even when you go out, think about like when Batista left. And like he went out getting super embarrassed by John Cena and everyone laughing at him in the ring.
That is true.
Like you should go out with a little bit of egg on your face. So what it is it's an open end. So if they do come back, then that's their first feud when they come back. Yeah, I think there's just an air of uncertainty with what they're doing right now, and I think that they probably just want a vacation. That's all it is. They signed a 1-year deal. They came back the night after SummerSlam last year, so that lines up with this year. Maybe they just want to go tanning in Dudleyville or something.
Where is
No,
Dudleyville?
they're going to Puerto Rico. They have tickets.
I'm sorry,
already.
South Dudleyville.
Let's see what we have here. We have unfortunate news for more parts of the roster. We've got a whole slew of things. This one, I know nobody's going to talk about this one, but what the hell, I'll throw it out first. King Konstantine was released from NXT. Anybody have any idea who this guy is?
I never heard of him.
Nope.
So you're telling me the King of Konstantine is open for availability? Like anybody can get that position now?
I think so.
He'll be on TNA any second now.
Prince Devitt might get it, though. There might be like some kind of patricide or something. Regicide, not patricide. Wrong side. Matricide, patricide. How you doing? Just gonna start listing those off.
Well, if it's a prince killing the king, wouldn't that technically still be patricide too?
Aha. If
Well, I
he
guess
was,
it
if he was
depends on
Prince
what line it's
Constantine.
Hmm.
There you go, a new NXT character, Prince Constantine. Yeah, nobody gives a shit about King Constantine. Fuck you, whoever you are. We have injuries to Sasha Banks, Samoa Joe, Renee Young, although that turned out to not be that big of a deal, and Austin Aries. Austin Aries, I can't remember what his was, but I don't think it's that serious. Renee Young, she was just kind of like, she fucked up her ankle on SmackDown. Samoa Joe, dislocated jaw. His is apparently a little bad, but Sasha Banks, she's got a bunch of nagging injuries. She, of course, dropped the championship at SummerSlam based off of that. Now they're saying maybe it's not going to be too bad. She could be coming back in around a month, and they've got her scheduled for about 30-something days from now. Before I finish off on this talk about the injury stuff and pass to you guys, though, I also want to throw out the other things that are messing us up on this roster that we didn't get a chance to talk about yet this week. Eva Marie, Paige, and Alberto Del Rio all suspended for 30 days for wellness policies. So we have 2 members of the SmackDown roster suspended. Del Rio might be leaving. Paige is not in a good spot right now. She's on Raw. She's suspended. Sasha Banks is out on Raw. Samoa Joe is out on NXT. Austin Aries might be out on NXT. Holy shit. John Cena's taking time off. We got all this other kind of stuff too. Wellness policy violations, injuries. Dan, I'm going to start off with you. What do you got to say about these different things going on?
Oh, they picked a perfect time to split the brands up.
Didn't they?
All these guys.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of Sasha Banks, but injuries happen. When it comes to Del Rio and Paige, I read that they were suspended for different types of drugs. So I mean, you just got to pay the price for being dumb.
What do you think about Eva Marie? It was Adderall, I think what she was suspended for.
Yeah, I don't understand the Adderall thing. I never felt like that was that big of a deal.
It's really not. Well, the thing is they're allowed to take Adderall, but they have to have proper prescription for it. And the whole reason that she got suspended is that she didn't submit the paperwork properly to show that she has proof of being able to take that medicine. So it's like a whole clerical error that she got suspended over. It's actually kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
I was kind of shocked. I was kind of shocked that they went ahead and
still did that angle.
Did the whole entrance, and then before Nikki Bella came out.
It's because they know it's bullshit. It's not like she's out there like doing something terrible for them. She did fucking Adderall, and just because they had to follow their program, they had to suspend her.
It'd be great if it was like, well, we got suspended for Adderall, and it's kind of a clerical thing, but holy shit, why are you just smoking crack backstage? What the fuck? Like, there goes that idea.
What's funny that it would be both would be 30 days.
Yeah, that is true, wouldn't it? Well, I guess they would probably fire the people just because it's like a bad image thing, but Caitlin, what do you think about the wellness policy violations and the injuries that are going on right now?
Well, injuries suck all the time, no matter who you are. So Sasha Banks being out, and especially at this time when she is on such a roll, it's a shame to see her taken out again after we were already missing her for a few months there. So I wish her a speedy recovery. As far as the wellness violations, man, well, with ADR, him, I never really been a fan. So if he stays out for a while, that's quite all right with me. Paige, they weren't really using her right now, but I would like to see her back in action sooner than later. So I'd like to see her back. As far as Eva Marie goes, I don't care if it was Adderall or what it was, just get her off my television. She's not even the kind of heel where I'm waiting to see her get her comeuppance, that I can't wait to see her. I just don't want to see her, and I'm just bored with the character. So I don't care if she ever comes back.
I'm waiting for her not to get her comeuppance, but to get the championship.
I just want to see how much she's improved.
I would probably be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't actually wrestled in a while, so she could be pretty decent right now. Probably not.
I liked our idea that we were talking about when we were doing predictions, as far as her not doing any of the work in the match and then coming in and getting the pin. And if she got the championship that way, holy shit.
There's still a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it could still happen.
Peyton, you got any thoughts on Samoa Joe, for instance? We haven't talked about him yet, or any of the other ones.
He's fat.
I think we have a song dedicated to that.
Yes, he is.
He's got a big fat ass, right?
Yeah, he's probably going to have a hard time chewing his food when he's got that broken jaw.
Oh, he's going to come back better than ever then.
I mean, it is what it is. This comes with the territory. People are going to get hurt. I mean, this really isn't even that bad. Think about where we were about this time last year, all the injuries they had then, and like how many of them were like top guys.
Yeah,
I mean, at one point you had like 3 or 4 top guys out with Orton, Cena, Rollins. I guess Daniel Bryan's future wasn't so certain at one point.
Cesaro was out.
Cesaro, like they were really screwed. So, losing Samoa Joe sucks, but he also like just lost the title. He's not really doing anything too important now. Like that story's kind of hit its end. Matter of fact, he could just like stay away and heal, and when he's ready, he could just pop up on the main roster at that point.
Hopefully.
There's really no reason for him to hang out down there. Sasha is definitely the worst, but she's got to take care of herself, The girl's got a long career ahead of her, as long as she takes care of herself, which that involves her not doing those suicide dives anymore. Or that crazy shit she's been doing.
Those suicide dives, people need to stop doing those. Way too many people do it, and only a few are able to actually pull them off without it looking like they're going to kill themselves. Big E in particular.
Big E looks
knock it the fuck off, man.
I remember years ago when Lita did it. That was the end of that.
Oh, it's way too dangerous. I mean, they call it a suicide dive. It's like, how the fuck you want to do that move for? What happened to like a bear hug? Nobody does that anymore. Obviously, and I'm sure people will... Oh, Nia Jax, yeah. Well, she's pretty much a bear. I'm sure people are going to leave comments below and tell us, why aren't you talking about the Finn Balor injury? That's coming a little bit later on. We're saving that talk for the other stuff. Obviously, he is the biggest injury that's going on right now, far above even Sasha Banks. We have a couple other hot tags still here left to talk about, though. This one's kind of a throwaway, a little lukewarm tag. But WWE is following the trend that the Olympics did. They're shutting down Twitter channels after copyright claims for GIFs. And a lot of people, even Xavier Woods, was just kind of like, yo, that's kind of bullshit. I don't follow Twitter accounts for this kind of capacity. I'm way too busy, watching the event, doing Bleach Report coverage, doing my own coverage, that kind of stuff. but apparently a lot of people do check the pay-per-view out through the GIFs like that. So do you guys think it's a legit copyright claim? Do they make sense like that? Or is it just one of those things where WWE is flexing their muscles a little bit too much?
Well, I mean, the question is if it's legit. Yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
it's legit. They're copying their media and sharing it. Now, whether they should just embrace it and allow it to have their brand spread, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they probably prefer if people get it from their own Twitter account, right? Because they post a lot of like those types of like videos and all those things on their channel. They probably want people to check it out that way.
Maybe. I mean, I could understand both sides of the argument. I could understand them saying this is like stealing from us, because it is. But I could also look at it as, well, you want to trend, and if that stuff could catch on, that's just going to be more promotion for you, and you're not really losing anything. Like, the people that are checking it out on Twitter, they probably just do not want to buy the network, and I don't think that taking these GIFs off of Twitter is going to be like, well, I guess I got to spend that $10 a month. Or maybe they're doing that while they're watching it, and they just kind of want to see the recaps and stuff, you know?
I think a lot of it has to do with the extent of how they're using it. If they're just doing, a short GIF of like a 2 or 3 second one, like reaction GIFs, like with the one of Stone Cold doing the laughing and then the straight serious face or something like that to a reaction, I think that's okay. I think that's fair use. But if someone is taking the best spots of a match and putting a series of 40 GIFs for a single match, I think that is copyright infringement, because you might as well post the whole video at that point. So I think the extent of it has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If they were like, here's a GIF for the first 10 seconds and then another one for the next 10 seconds and all that, that is essentially the match. Without the commentary. So you can't hear Marvin Alla go like, oh, whoa, this is fucking crazy. Holy shit. Whatever old-timey phrase he wants to throw out today.
You know what the biggest crime of all this is? You're saying GIF wrong.
It's totally GIF.
It's GIF.
GIF.
Add a T at the end. It's not GIFed.
No. But you don't say giraffe.
I do.
Maybe I do.
Then you're pronouncing that wrong too.
Dan, is it GIF or GIF?
I always said GIF.
Well, now we know that's the wrong answer.
because it stands for Giraffics Interface Format, right?
Giraffics
I don't even know.
Giraffics. No, the inventor of it actually called it GIF, but he's wrong. He just invented it. What does he know?
Is his name Jeff with a GEOFF?
If not, it should be. He should legally have to change it now.
We have 2 more hot tags. Dane, do you know anything about the Sanity NXT promo? Because I've been hearing Tommy End and Crazy Mary Dobson. I have no clue who the fuck those 2 people are.
Your guess is as good as mine, dude.
Galen or Faden, you guys have any idea?
I saw the one Sanity promo during TakeOver, but I'm not really sure what that's all about. So I have no opinion or knowledge of the 2 people you mentioned yet. So I have no idea.
Yep.
I've heard the names before, and I can't place a face to them. I have no clue what if they're like Ring of Honor, New Japan. I assume they're not New Japan. I think that they're probably Ring of Honor, but I mean, I literally know nothing about that. So if anybody listening knows anything about these guys, this guy and this girl, drop a comment below, hit us up with some knowledge. Maybe we'll check them out or something. Maybe they're good.
Is this supposed to be kind of like WWE's version of Decay?
Oh, fuck, I hope not. I didn't even think about that. Oh.
That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. And now that you said it's a guy and a girl, I'm like, oh, this sounds very like it's going to be like, how they subtly rip each other off every once in a while. This sounds like WWE's going to do their version of Decay.
Especially their names, Tommy End and Crazy Mary Dobson. Crazy Mary. Like, oh, man, don't tell me that's going to be one of those things. Oh.
Aren't they the TNA Tag Team Champions?
Tommy End or you mean Decay?
Decay.
Oh, I don't have any idea. Last time I checked, they created a grand championship and Lashley merged titles and then got rid of them and other people won them and whatever. I've lost track of that by far. I'm just assuming everybody is holding every championship and everybody is Bobby Lashley and Zema Ion. That makes sense to me. So Zema Ion and Bobby Lashley are Decay, and they're Sanity. AWB. Last up here, this is something that I got a chance to check out, which I didn't even think I was going to bother watching it. So, I mean, maybe some other people missed out on it too, but started to pick up a little bit of steam, and I'm so glad that I checked it out. The Miz and Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack. Did you guys watch this?
That was great.
I didn't watch the whole show, but I caught that segment.
Oh, I didn't watch the whole show either, because, fuck that. That was fantastic, this promo. A lot of people thinking that it's real. I don't think so. I think it's all just a work. But for those who didn't watch it, Daniel Bryan is talking about how The Miz wrestles a style that's kind of cheap. It's sort of like safe and whatever. And The Miz, hell of a retort, says, I wrestle this style because I can actually wrestle and continue wrestling. And if you want to fucking keep going to your bingo halls because you can't put up with the WWE style and all that, go ahead and do it. Daniel Bryan walks off. Miz is like all fired up. Best thing that I've seen The Miz do in a while, and it's getting a lot of people talking about how, like, wait a minute, The Miz is actually good on the mic. And it was like, yeah, it's what a lot of us have been saying for years now. I don't know why he fell off a little bit like that, but Peyton, what are your thoughts on Miz, Daniel Bryan, Talking Smack, all that other kind of stuff?
Now, without a doubt, these guys were playing their characters and were doing their roles there. But I don't doubt that there was a lot of legitimacy and true feelings to everything each one of those guys were saying.
Oh, for sure.
I've always had a feeling that Daniel Bryan and Miz have not liked each other very much.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause they're just two different background guys. I think they look at each other, and I'm sure they get along in a work sense, but I think they have this deep down dislike just because they have that different background, and this is where something like that gets to be exposed. And you gotta think, they can't be scripting Talking Smack. Like everything else that they do script, there's no way they're scripting what these guys are going to have to say, and most are getting bullet points. So I wouldn't be surprised if they told them to go out there and just have some kind of confrontation, and this just exploded. And I feel like maybe even Renee thought they were going too far, because Renee starts interjecting there at one point, and bitch is like, no, fuck off, bitch.
I love his retort with that too. It's where he's just kind of like, she's like, this isn't what the show's about. And he's like, Renee, you've got a great show, but shut up.
It was so well executed, and when you could take something that to the level where people are questioning whether it's real or not, you've successfully done what you're looking for. And more importantly, it's got people talking about Talking Smack, which has seemed like a dud from the start when they were doing that show. So they got some buzz on that. They got some buzz on The Miz. They're adding a lot of shades to Daniel Bryan, which I got to say, Daniel Bryan's coming off like a dick in this whole situation, which has been something he's been kind of looking like a lot lately.
He's looking like a dick in a lot of situations. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they asked him about the Randy Orton Brock Lesnar thing, and he's like, I didn't really like that ending, but I can't say much on the air. And he's like making fun of these different wrestlers and stuff. And it's like, I kind of love it, but at the same time, I'm sort of thinking the people backstage are probably like, yeah, if this dude was the real general manager, fuck him, Kaylin, what do you think? Is this going to lead to anything important, or is it just sort of those two butting heads, and isn't that cool?
I don't know if it's necessarily leading to anything important, but I thought it was a great segment. Like you guys, I didn't watch the whole show, but I did see the segment that WWE put up on their YouTube channel or Facebook or something. And this is the definition of a worked shoot. It's based in reality, but it had a lot of room for them to express their passion. So I think they actually legitimately believe what they said, but it was scripted, probably not word for word, but like Mike said, bullet points. And that's how you make it believable. That's how you get people talking, is you have some basis in reality, so it's a little bit believable, and then you just let people go off and expand upon that. And that's where that feeling and that fantasy is built strongly, because people believe it. So I was really happy with this. This is the best we've seen Miz in a while. So he is the best heel, I would say, maybe on the entire roster right now. He is working his character 100%.
Fully agreed. Dane, the last thing I want to ask you for this whole setup here, should Daniel Bryan be forced to shut up because the Miz is his protege, and that whole thing, the rookie and pro thing that they did in NXT? Should Miz be just telling him, shut up and he has to deal with it.
He should have brought that up. Like, I taught you the ropes, But when it comes down,
would have gotten under their skin so much.
Oh yeah, everybody would be so mad about that. But when it comes to the Miz, like I mean, I agree. Like, it's a great promo and everything, but there's no way it was like real, with quotation marks around it, because Daniel Bryan called him a coward in the ring. Like, you wrestle like a coward. Like, yeah, he's the heel. All heels wrestle like cowards. So there's no way that would like really get under his skin where he's going to like, question his manhood.
You're reading that statement wrong, though. He's not saying you're a coward like, oh, you run away and you take the 10 count or something like that. He's saying he's a coward because he takes soft bumps and he doesn't do flippy flips and he doesn't do suicide dives. Like, these are bad things. Like,
hey, Miz, you don't want to kill yourself? Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, well, I've had the championship for 100-something days or whatever. Got a hot wife. Oh, so does Daniel Bryan. So I guess that's where they should meet and have like, some kind of a convergence there.
They should argue Miz like, yeah, well, I have a movie. And Daniel Bryan's like, yeah, well, I have a show on E. Just go back and forth. They're acting.
And I like the part where he was going off about how he hasn't been out on injury. He goes away for movies and stuff, and he tells people when he's going to return. But he is not injury prone like some of the other wrestlers.
I think,
and that's absolutely true.
Miz wins these arguments because he goes, yeah, well, I'm taller and I can eat meat. It's like, all right, that's the end.
I really can't think of a time where the Miz was out of action besides like making like a lame movie.
I don't remember him ever being injured.
And he's been around for a while,
He had a really small injury. Funny enough, when he won the U.S. title, I believe it was like right before he cashed in his Money in the Bank. He never actually like missed time. They had him there, but he had a period where he wasn't wrestling. He had a knee injury, I remember.
The only other one I can remember is AJ Styles knocked out his tooth, which is nothing. And then he got it fixed like the next day and was like wrestling, SmackDown or something. So props to The Miz. Of course, props to Daniel Bryan for all he did too, but where do you guys stand on this whole thing? Leave your comments below. That's it for the hot tags for this week. We're going to take a little bit of a break with the rest hold, and we're going to come back and talk about all the different championship stuff that's going on. So make sure that you click on parts 2 and 3, and we will see you in those sections.